Hi, I'm Irina Afonskaya, Russian painter living in Bulgaria, and I'm here in my painting room. I paint pictures on different thematic, and one of my subjects is traveling. I like painting and like traveling, and I decide to join them, and I paint pictures about the places I visited. And of course, the first country I painted was Russia, my motherland, where I lived most time of my life. And my town Moscow. I have two pictures about Moscow, and one of them, this is already sold to the collector in USA. I made a photograph to remain it for myself. This is a symbolic view of Kremlin fortress with many cathedrals it has inside and many towers. It is romantic and great Middle Ages fortress with many towers, and all of them are different, and many cathedrals inside. It is very interesting to look. In reality, it doesn't look like this because it has a big territory, and all towers stand on some distance from one to another, and I put them all very close to have opportunity to place them on one little picture. It is a watercolor painting, and I made photograph the same size as the picture was in reality. I sell my painting in internet, so it was sold by internet. So I sold print with this picture. And this is another painting of Moscow, and again Kremlin fortress with its towers and cathedrals, and cathedral of and St. Basil Cathedral, very famous. This picture is not sold yet, so it is waiting for its buyer. Also watercolor painting. This is also view of Moscow. It is a cathedral on island, bridge and lake, and another cathedral on some distance, and park around. It is painted from the real place. It was a real estate of Russian kings with cathedral in region Ismailova, and it was near my house where I lived. We Russian people are lucky to have two capitals in the country, which is unusual situation, so I have two pictures of our second capital, which is St. Petersburg, which was a capital of the country some time over the history. And this is famous bridges of St. Petersburg on the river Neva, which consist of two parts, and they connected in the daytime, so they look like ordinary bridge, but they're divided because there are big ships that here, and they can't go inside the bridge. So the two parts of the bridge are disconnected at night to let big ships to go along the river to the sea. And this is the biggest cathedral of the city, St. Isaac Cathedral, on the bank of river Neva, and a colorful sunset. Also, these two pictures are watercolor painting, because most of my pictures at the moment are watercolor, but I plan to paint in future acrylic on canvas. I traveled in another places of Russia and visited some interesting places, and one of them was historical town Pskov. It has a Middle Ages town fortress with big towers and a big cathedral inside. I like fortresses and castles. We don't have castles in Russia, but we have a lot of fortresses, so I painted this fortress in this town. On the far north of Russia, on the White Sea, there is an island, actually a group of islands, which are called Solovki. And on the biggest of them, there is a big Middle Ages ancient monastery, also built like a big fortress. So I was very impressed of this and painted this fortress, this monastery made as a fortress. Most of Russian monasteries were built like fortresses with cathedrals inside, but outside there was a wall with towers, because they had not only religious function but function of defense. They were monasteries and military fortresses at the same time. And a monastery on Solovki Island is one of the most significant and important, biggest and most famous monasteries of Russia. And this is another picture of this monastery, tower, big tower and a little chapel. Another interesting places I visited was also island with monastery. This island is called Valam. It's located on Ladoga Lake, also on north of Russia, near Petersburg, between Petersburg and Finland. And nature of this place is close to Finland. So it is covered by wood, and there is a monastery here and some little islands near this big island with churches. So I painted this church on little island and little chapel on the bank, and banks of the lake covered with wild forest, and clouds, because it is north and weather usually cold and cloudy. This is, as you see, not watercolor painting, this is oil painting on cardboard. And another little picture of this place, also oil painting on cardboard, little church on the horizon, on the island, and wild forest on the banks of the lake. Sky is cloudy, but there is blue sky and no clouds near the church, as if there is a light going from the church. And there I also painted a few watercolor pictures. One of them, a church on the little island, near the big island, and there is a road from big island to this little. It is painted from real place. Another watercolor picture Again, little church, little chapel on the bank, little island and forest on the banks. There is a little chapel. It is painted from real place. There is actually this little chapel here. Colorful sunset under the wild forest. And again the same little chapel, wild rocks and wild forest. And this picture, it is also oil on cardboard. It is a little wooden church on the little island. It is not concretely placed, it is like symbolic picture of Russia. We had in the Middle Ages tradition of making wooden churches. And bright sunset. Most of my life I lived in Moscow, but it happened that I was born in town Kiev, capital of Ukraine, because my mother lived there. And I painted few pictures, a series of pictures with this town. All they are watercolor. So this picture is a symbolic view of the town with the main landmarks of the town all together. In reality, of course, they're in different places, but it is a symbol. It has many beautiful historical churches and cathedrals, and on the top of the city there is a hill and a big monastery, beautiful monastery on the hill, which is under the town, which is up the town in the sky and on the bank of big river Dnieper. On this picture I painted this monastery itself. It is called Kievo-Pecherskaya Lavra. It is also called Cave Monastery because inside this hill there are many caves. There is a labyrinth with many caves, which was a cemetery for the monks. And when tourists come on excursion to the monastery, it is possible to see these caves. It has many beautiful cathedrals, and tops of them are covered with gold, according to Orthodox tradition. And these golden tops are shining on blue sky, and it looks very beautiful. And another picture of this monastery, and this is flowers, lilas flowers. They grow a lot near monastery and in botanic garden near this monastery. And the third picture with this monastery. This is a big cathedral of Saint Andrei, which is also on top of a little hill and very big, and it looks like flying in sky under the town. Higher than all other buildings around. This is Santa Sofia Cathedral, the main and the most old cathedrals of the city. It has a big bell tower, and it is possible to come on the top of the bell tower, and there is a good view from here on all the town. And it is a place where you can make nice photographs. And this is Saint Michel Monastery, also one of the main landmarks of Kiev, very beautiful cathedral. Near cathedral there is a garden with white and pink cherries, so I painted pink cherries. Pink cherries in blossom in spring. And this is a very interesting place. It is called Church of St. Nicholas on Water, because it is standing just on the water, near the bank, but on the water. And the church is growing from the water. It looks very unusual.